Erev Tov. 3 lessons. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 lessons. Lessons I've learned over 20 years fighting the enemies of Israel. First, that's right, as a Duvdevan commando in the dark streets of Ramallah, Tulkarem, Qalqilia, Shechem. Then as a Shabak officer, tracking operatives in the Middle East and outside of Israel. And in the last year and a half, thanks to you, who gave an amazing hand to Merav in Jabalia, Nuseirat, Al-Burej, Shejaiya, and Aita Shab, Bin Jbel. In those places, many lessons were learned. Today, I'd like to share with you just 3 of them. That's it. Lesson number 1, Gaza 2024, take care of your fellow Jew. Shejaiya, 5th night of Hanukkah. On the day we were about to penetrate a massive school that had been turned into a terrorist nest. Now, you know the news, Times of Israel. So if you heard about Shejaiya, either Shejaiya version 2014 or 2024, you know it's one of the most dangerous places on earth. There was a building, U-shaped, surrounded by walls, facing a main intersection that you can see on the next slide. We advanced, trying to take position, when suddenly, shots come at us from the front street. We cross, change position, and once again. חוליות 40-40, דפחו סגור על פי סדר, וייסברג, אריאם. חוליות 40-40, הקוביה סגורה, פריצה ברעוד, 4, 3. We get in, we take position, and later that day, one of the many messages is reported. This one said the following one. פינת צפון מערבית, שעה 11, תנועה חשודה. Northwest side, suspicious movement. Now it's Gaza, suspicious movement, makes sense, right? So you send a team, one team is sent. No communication, nothing. Another one is sent to check what's going on. Even the second team has not checked in. And then comes the call. The one you never forget for a lifetime. Noel Hannibal, missing force. Those words freeze your blood. We heard them in 2006 with Gilad Shalit. We heard them again in 2014 with Adar Goldin. Noel Hannibal means a soldier, or in that specific case, and I'm sure if you remember the 9 or the 8 from June, you will remember those 7. In that case, a group of 7 soldiers are missing, and you do everything you can in order to bring them back. Immediately, everyone, all task force in the neighborhood, including which that were not necessarily invited, came through, give a help, and take hands. When we get there, we finally understand what happened. The first team was hit by RPG fire. The second that came to rescue from a unit that you probably heard about called Sheshesh killed by planted explosives, and the third taken down at the doorway. Total loss. The 7 forgers I'd like to dedicate those few words to today are Tomer Greenberg, Roy Moshe Baron, Achia Dekel, Liel Ben Sheli, and Rom Echt. And yet, and this is what I'd like you to remember, no one hesitated. Not for a second. They ran into the fire, we ran into the fire, you ran into the fire post-October 7. Because you mentioned Sanhedrin. In Masechet Shvuot, there is something that became like a slogan, but it's a way of life. Kol Arevim, Kol Israel, Arevim Ze Bazeh. It's not just a nice slogan from Masechet Shvuot 39. It's a way of life. You never leave someone behind. That's the lesson. Whether you're on a battlefield, in a boardroom, or in a Jewish community, in a synagogue, every Jew is responsible for the other. You see someone that needs you, you run toward them. You run toward them. Lesson number 2. It's the one immediately afterwards. Be 100% Jew, 100% Zionist. Yom Hazikaron, 2007. We were 12 undercover Dudevan soldiers approaching the home of Amin Lubada, a senior terrorist that used to have the blood of hundreds of Israelis on his hands. We've been trying to stop him for a month. It is 3 a.m. We are inside of a dark, windowless truck, silent, waiting for the signal, and then the door opens, we fly out, take position, but then a burst of bullets is fired. One of them, I will never forget this one, lands between me and Elisha. Now, I've seen many bullets in my life. That one I never forget, because Elisha and I came from very, very different worlds. Elisha grew up with Trumpeltor, Eliezer Ben Yehuda, Meir Artzion, the kibbutz, the IDF, the beautiful Israel. Tisha B'Av, Yom Kippur, a bit less, no worries. I grew up in a completely different environment. I grew up in a family of chief rabbis, Moalim, Sofrim. I grew up with Rambam, with Rashi, with Masechet Shabbat, and with a bunch of piyutim of the 12th century no one learns anymore today. And today, many years later, it took me some time, I understand that that bullet didn't just pass between two soldiers. It passed between Judaism and Zionism. And this is, I truly believe, by far the greatest challenge of our time. We've split our identity. Some see themselves as mostly religious, others as mostly national, but we need both. We need both. Today in Israel, they speak about המחנה האמוני and המחנה הליברלי or המחנה הדמוקרטי. It doesn't make any sense. We need both. When we choose one over the other, disasters follow. So remember that bullet. Remember that moment. Judaism and Zionism are not two different paths. They are one mission. Lesson number 2, be 100% Jew, 100% Zionist. And lesson number 3 that I wanted to share with you today, own the next 5 seconds. This last lesson came from Emmanuel Yehuda Moreno, a Shabak instructor I had many years ago, and the most brilliant intelligence officer I've ever met. Throughout the last 20 years, I've met successful CEOs, Talmidei Chachamim, Ironman champions, Bill Gates, and many others. Emmanuel remains by far the most creative, the most humble, and the greatest leader I've ever known. Our 4th son that is not here today is named after Emmanuel Yehuda. Anyway, back to August 2006, 2 helicopters take off from Turkey, fly through Syria, and land in Baalbek, 40 miles east of Beirut. Emmanuel gets out with a technician to perform something that Leyamim in time will be super helpful 18 and 19 years afterwards. So the mission can be considered as a success. The issue is that on the way back to the helicopters, there's an ambush, and the worst happens. A ricochet hits Emmanuel in the neck, he has only a few seconds left to live. Now, 2 days earlier, in what we call a maktagim session, maktag stands for mikrim vetkuvot, a case scenario analysis, something that you do before each and every single operation. Emmanuel asked a teammate if there is a crazy case scenario in which the helicopter is hit and you have 5 seconds left to live, what would you do? What would you do? I don't know. Close my eyes. I hope it goes quick, and that's it. Emmanuel replied, no, that's not what I would do. If I had 5 seconds, I'd fill them with meaning. Because if 5 seconds have no meaning, then 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 weeks, 5 years don't matter either. And if 5 minutes don't matter, what does? That's the lesson. You don't need 5 years, you don't need 5 days or 5 hours. You just need the next 5 seconds to do something that matters. So use the 5 seconds with purpose. When you do that, you win. We win. That's it. These are 3 of the lessons I wanted to share with you today. One is, conclusion, take care of your fellow Jew. Be 100% Jew, 100% Zionist, and own the next 5 seconds. תודה רבה.